And you're rolling. Cool. All right, gents, thanks for coming. Interesting night. Interesting night. All right. So, you guys, a lot of you know my background in training professional athletes, and primarily most of my training of professional athletes, collegiate soccer, played collegiate soccer, but I trained a lot of professional fighters, mixed martial art fighters, a lot of UFC fighters. And one of the things that I determined over the years that made up the elite athlete, especially in combat sports, and you guys are into combat sports, soccer's a combat sport, golf's not, right? Tennis is not, maybe a little bit, baseball's not, but soccer's totally a combat sport. And I had some athletes that were, and Matt knew a lot of them, they babysat for him, guys who fought for the title, Kurt Pellegrino, Hermes Franca, Edson Barboza, all great, great fighters, high-end, elite. They were at the top of their game. But what was the differentiator between all of them and the other guys who just showed up or never even made it to the UFC was the discipline and the strength in their mind. So while there were a lot of athletes who were faster, stronger, right, had better endurance, at least on a treadmill or on a bicycle, but when it came game time, they didn't have it because they did not have the mental discipline to engage. Okay? So what we're going to talk about tonight is what I believe is the Holy Grail. Everybody knows what the Holy Grail is. It's like the most coveted thing you could have, and it's mental discipline. And that's what I think is going to be the connection between, and by the way, you guys are all going to get a copy of this tape. So if you want to write, you can write. I don't mind it. I would rather you stay engaged with me. And you're going to get this, because this is going to change everything and how you look at the world moving forward. Promise you. Whether it's your schoolwork, whether it's the first job you get, whether it's the next time you play a game, or even more importantly, the next practice you have. And Coach and I have discussed a few things. We're going to give you some drills to work on that I can guarantee you 100% are going to increase your ability to be more disciplined than ever before. Okay, so far so good. So tonight is going to be about understanding discipline and understanding your responsibilities as an athlete and your responsibilities as a son and your responsibilities one day as a businessman and a student. Okay, so here's the good news. Everything that you're good at right now, think about this. Everything that you're good at right now, think about it. What's your thing you're best at? You once sucked at. Okay? Think about it. Everything that you are really good at right now, you absolutely were horrible at once. That's the good news. So you decided to do what? You decided to practice it. You decided to do it. You decided to get better every day. Even when you were tired and your eyes were rolling back in your head, you decided to do it. So that then therefore means you can become good or maybe even great at everything you want to decide to do. With me so far? All right. So everybody is born this way. Would you agree with me? Yeah. Everybody's born this way. They're born like that. Let's talk about some of the people that we hold in the highest regard right now, whether they're musicians or athletes. Name an athlete. Who do you hold in high regard?
Messi, Ronaldo.
Messi, Ronaldo. Right? Who else? LeBron.
Usain Bolt.
Right?
Michael Jordan.
Usain Bolt. Okay? Those people were born, I guarantee it, they were born ordinary. And anybody our culture celebrates is what? Extraordinary, aren't they? And they're extraordinary because they made the effort to work extra hard, extra long, extra disciplined, extra. They became extraordinarily. All right? So, they are celebrated because they have put in the effort, the discipline, and it's the discipline, the talent comes after that. Skills take a really long time to develop, don't they? Think about it. If we're going to talk about soccer, whatever your favorite trick is, move is, it takes a while. You can't just be like, boom, I got it. You keep on drilling it. So that takes a long time. But tomorrow morning, you can increase your hustle, most of you, by 50%. 50% can make a huge difference. So if you want to make a huge difference in your life, schoolwork, math, soccer, relationship, it's all about commitment and hustle to whatever it is you pick. Because that's what LeBron did, that's what Messi did, that's what Ronaldo did, that's what Bolt did. They decided, I'm going to be outrageous at this. And I'm going to spend almost every waking hour committed to doing this. Do you think they got to that level by kind of doing it? Right? How many of you, don't put your hand up, are kind of doing soccer right now relative to what you know you're capable of? Don't put your hand up. Some of you are kind of doing soccer, even though you're on a fabulous team. Some of you are all in on soccer. Okay? So think about that. If you're here and you're kind of in on soccer, that's super cool. But then you can't be pissed when you sit on the bench kind of all the time. Right? So that kind of immediately translates to hard work and hustle. Because the skills take a while. But in order to go after the skills, you have to have discipline and commitment. Okay? So far, so good? I'm just setting the table. What our team is really good at is what we're loaded with right now is this. More than any other team that I've seen us play against in my year and a half with you boys. Not even close. Most other soccer players that I know and coaches coached play lacrosse and play baseball and play basketball, right? And they're digging soccer. But you guys are passionate about it. So passionate about it, sometimes you get pulled into your passion and you stop thinking. Is that a legitimate statement? Right? I can go around the room and point to very specifics, and I'm going to do that tonight. So just know when I use an example, this way everybody we're among friends here. None of these are judgments. These are all acknowledgments of examples of things, right? So who here feels like they get so passionate sometimes they get blind and don't necessarily perform to the best of their ability? Okay. Cool. Awesome. Danny, when it happens to you, what happens to your game when you get too passionate?
I get mad.
Is that helping you or hurting you?
Hurting.
Right. Cool, but what do you do?
Start drawing fouls.
Start drawing fouls because you're so fired up, right? Who else is like that? Only he chews off ears.
Mike Tyson.
Suarez and Tyson, dude. Both of them. Good call. I'm thinking soccer, you're thinking global. Big brain right there. They get so fired up, they want to gnaw off somebody's ear. That's how intense they are. Okay? So the passion, if it doesn't include this, it could work against us. Could work against us if we're not disciplined. That discipline is so important. Give me examples on the soccer field of discipline. Let's start there. What are some of the things that you know you should do in a game on discipline, Matt?
Not talk back to the ref.
Not talk back to the ref, right? That's a good word, and we're going to put a word up here we're going to access later called humility. But great. What else?
If coach says to do something,
Give me an example. Give me specifics.
to play two-touch soccer, to make sure to try your hardest to play two-touch soccer, or if to stay in your zone or to get back. The whole game is based on discipline.
Yeah, the whole game is based on discipline. What else? Where are my strikers that coaches always yelling from the sidelines, and we made an example of that? On a goal kick, where are my strikers supposed to be shutting down all the time?
Outside backs.
Outside backs. And how many times this weekend did our strikers have to be reminded?
3-4 times a game.
Yeah, that's being conservative. And so if coach is doing that, is he coaching pros or is he coaching rec players? Rec, right? So we got a couple options as a team here. So there's a couple things. We're either dumb, and I don't think anybody in this room is dumb. I think we are untrained, but on those examples I'm going to use tonight, we've totally been trained. Or we're what? Undisciplined. Thank you, Kuba, if that was you. It sounded like you. Every question I ask you tonight is going to revolve around, the answer's got to be one of the three. And I don't think anybody want to put their hand up for the dumb side. And I'm also going to suppose that it is not about the untrained side. When we want you to cover your zone, when we want you to shut down that outside ball, when we want you to put your heels on the chalk to make sure that you open up the middle for our middies. Those are all instructions that you should get once or twice, and coach probably doesn't mind reminding you during the game here and there, just as a reminder. You might be making your way over there. But if coach has to remind you of that, is he busy then thinking about strategy, or is he wiping your butt?
Wiping our butts.
Wiping your butt. Right? Should he be doing that?
No.
No. Okay, you with me? Everybody knows the analogy with dropping a pebble in the water and the rings go out? Everybody got that? Okay. Boko, if you're playing up front and you're not covering that outside because for a moment your mind wandered, or maybe you're tired, or maybe you just right now don't care, just using an example, and that ball then makes it to the outside. And then that ball makes it up the line because we didn't what? Shut down the line in time. And that's what we want to do is a first default, right? We want to shut down that line. And that ball makes it up to the midfield. And like they did this weekend on one of the goals, they put it all the way across to the other side and switch it. They come down and cross it again, catch our weak side halfback not covering and our defense not covering properly, and they beat Holden. Could I point to it was because of that?
No.
Why not?
Because the whole team fell.
The whole team fell. What could have happened if he would have shut that down? Would that scenario likely have happened?
They would
Right. It's not his fault, but it's his responsibility. Got it? That's our second word we're putting up here. Responsibility. And accountability. Those are two different words, and we're going to talk about those. Responsibility is what you owe to yourself. Accountability is what you owe to your teammate. Okay? When you play a game of soccer, this is what I taught in fighting too. You have just one bucket of energy. That's it. Once you're out, you're screwed. Now, how you use that energy in a 3-round fight, 5 minutes, we used to coach and train people. And I'd say, listen, the fight, unless you get KO'd or they KO you or sub you, it's going to go 15 minutes. Let's manage the fight that way. I want you in the first 5 minutes to lean on him. I want you to lean on him on the cage. I want your head underneath his chin. I want you bothering him. I want you to go to work on the body. You're not going to knock him out with any of these, but what am I taking from him? Energy. Energy. And then in the second round, I'm going to press him a little more. I'm going to start with leg kicks. And then what we're going to start to do is we're going to tie him up, we're going to pull his head down, because that takes a lot of energy to get back up. And what am I doing second by second? Right, I'm taking away his energy. On the soccer field, from now on, I want you boys to think like this. You have 3 buckets. You have the jog bucket, you have the sprint bucket, and you have the explosion bucket in your running. Okay? This is like anywhere from 40 yards. This is 10 yards. This is 3 yards. Everybody got that model? Which one do you think is the biggest bucket in your energy system? Jog, right? Pretty much you guys could jog if your life depended on it for 70 minutes, if you had to, right? That's just making your way back on a goal kick, right? The sprint, give me an example of a 10-yard sprint. Where would you do that on the field? Recovery, yep. Where else?
To the box.
To the box, yep.
Closing down the line.
Closing down the line, depends. I want to come back to that one.
Through ball. You can send somebody.
A through ball, perfect, okay? So those are great examples. Where's the 3-yard explosion happening? 50-50.
One-on-one.
One-on-one.
You could also use that to cut down the line.
You could also use it to cut down the line. Now, which one is the most valuable if you had to pick one that you always wanted to have available for you? Sprint, right? The explosion or the sprint, right? Those are the valuable ones. Those are the ones, if I only have 7 or 8 of those a game, I want to use them intelligently. Got it? Here's my scenario. Patrick's up front, supposed to be covering the line. Patrick's standing at the 18 in the middle because he's somewhere else. He's probably, are you dumb, Pat? No. Are you untrained in that skill, Pat? Which one are you, Pat?
Undisciplined.
Thank you, sir. And again, Pat's an example on this one, right? This is an example. Pat then has to reach in his back pocket because coach said, get that line. Which burner does Pat have to use? Did he just waste an explosion?
Yeah.
Next time the ball's played up to Pat late in the fourth quarter or late in the second half, and he needs those 3 steps to beat that guy so he can just get that ball in, but he doesn't have it. Got it? Do you see how important this is? Zabi gave an exact example of cover the line. If you're using an explosion or a sprint to cover the line, you're in another planet. Do the work before you have to. Does that make sense? Right? Jose. I'm going to use Jose again. When Jose decides, and this is our next one here, self-awareness. When Jose decides, we're actually going to put it down here. When Jose decides that he wants to jump in for a tackle, sometimes it's spot on, most of the time it is, sometimes it's not. But Jose goes, and he misses. And he's the last guy. What's Jose usually do?
Come back and foul.
But hustles, bro. Hustles. And sometimes makes a good decision and fouls. Right? Did he have to foul? Or what if he would have been aware and smart and did what?
Waiting.
Hold ground and contained. Are you dumb? Do you know you should have held?
Yeah.
So what are you?
Undisciplined.
Undisciplined. You guys getting the theme?
Yes.
You got it? Okay, we don't have to beat this to death. But do you see how if you could pull out at any time during a game these whenever you wanted them, yet you can take them away from the other team, and how do we take them away from the other team?
Undisciplined.
2 touch. Be disciplined. Right? 2 touch. Move the ball. Keep our shape. What do we let do the work instead of us?
The ball.
The ball. So now what we're doing is they don't even know it. I can guarantee you there's not a team that's probably below college ranks that just got this lesson. He played pro. Did you ever hear that before? Have you ever heard that before when you played pro?
First time.
First time. I can guarantee you there's not a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 17-year-old team even aware of that concept right now. And if you could now play with them, and every time you play a 2-touch ball to space or to your partner and keep your shape, the energy gods above are going, whoop, nope, whoop, nope. And by the end of the game, where we're going to have to, because of the league we're playing in right now, we're going to have to win the game in the last 15 minutes 50% of the time. Agree, Coach?
Agreed.
So what do we want to do? have a punching bag in the last 15 minutes, where their spirit is broken, they're exhausted, all they got left are these, and when that's all you have left, but you have to sprint, what does the other team do? Foul. Who said that? Thank you, man. Foul. Because even if their heart is there, they become undisciplined because they were running around like rabbits. Okay, everybody got the theme right now? Okay. Coach, you want to add anything on this right now?
Tie it in.
Go.
No, as you keep going, because I like where you're going with this. I'm just going to jump in at the right time.
Got it. Okay, so this weekend, Coach was on the sidelines trying to do that to you, wasn't he? But he was doing it with shit that he wasn't supposed to. He was doing it with the basics, rec soccer instruction, motivating you, right? I listened to that talk on the sidelines there. Who enjoyed that talk at halftime? I didn't think so. Deserved? Right. So we got two choices in our life, boys. I'm going to tell you this. You have two choices in your life. You can either live your life by having somebody else motivate you, or you can be internally driven and disciplined. And you don't need somebody to be the owner of how you feel. Think about that for a second. Don't let that go by. You can control everything that happens to you, emotionally, spiritually, physically, if you're disciplined. But if you're counting and you're running your life on external motivation, and the motivation you were getting this weekend was not because you're dumb, it was not because you were untrained, it's because you were undisciplined. So that motivation eventually becomes caustic, doesn't it? It screws with your head. Pat, how many times did you want to get yelled at by everybody this weekend? 0 comes to mind, right? Boko, how many times did you want to get railed again? None. But in order to get you moving, we had to. And is that a good use of our energy? No.
You guys almost have to think about it like this as well, if you don't mind.
Go.
I have a bucket. Okay? I have a finite amount of coaching points I can make, ways we can counter our opponents, and when it comes down to it, I got a few tricks up my sleeve. Okay, you follow me so far? If I'm doing what you call quote-unquote recreational coaching, which it is, and this is not to poke fun, but mark up, challenge for the ball, sounds like recreational to me. It's exhausting my ability to use these two things. So you see the correlation there? Who here wants to learn and progress in the game as a player on the field so they're allowed to think for themselves? Raise their hand. Because ultimately, that is the goal in soccer. A coach's usefulness at the end of the day when you get to the highest level is just to make the lineup. Put the best 11 out there and go into this bag when needed. And if I can ask one other question is, give us an example of what you think external motivation is. I don't want Javi to be the only one answering. Does anyone know what it means, or give us an example of external motivation? Evan.
Perhaps when your parents are motivating you on the sidelines.
Parents. Who else? Coach. Who else?
Our own teammates.
Teammates. Anyone else? Danny.
Any outside body?
Anybody other than yourself, correct? Okay.
Motivation's not bad, don't get me wrong, but you can't live on that. It's like a Hershey chocolate bar. They're good once in a while. Too much of them, you get fat and sick, all right? It's like a glass of wine. One glass of wine's good, too many you're an alcoholic. Okay? Motivation is good, what I call for a primer. All right, boys, you know what motivation is? When you guys get in your huddle before the game. That's a motivation. But that's coming from where? From inside the pride, right? Inside the group of lions. That's motivation. External motivation's okay, but it plays on moods and feelings. I don't feel like it. I don't feel that good. Somebody pick me up. You can't live your life like that. You can't become successful. You can't become wealthy. You can't become a scholar. You can't become a pro soccer player if you need somebody else to manage your shit. You have to own that. And we're only asking you to own it in the things that we're training you in. Nobody has asked you on this team ever to be excellent or even competent at something that has never been discussed with you at least 5 to 10 times. Right? It's my mom. Discipline is a strength, and it's infectious. Who can give me an example of something that you've demonstrated that you did not want to do before, yet you put a stake in the ground, and you said, I'm doing it no matter what, and I don't need to tell anybody, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it every single day until I get to where I want to be. Who can give me an example, please? Come on, you guys have done it.
Build on your endurance, like running, a lot of running.
A lot of running, but where you wake up and you don't want to do it, but you do it because you know.
School.
School. Who here gets grades in the A's? You know, for the most part. Look at that. Awesome. Okay? B's, A's. B's, A's. That's cool. Do you want to wake up and go to school every day?
No.
To do schoolwork?
No.
Why do you do it?
Because we
Parents
have
will
to.
help us in the future.
Going to help us in the future. Your parents require you to do it. The state requires you to do it, but the last time, I don't think anybody in here says, that shit, the state's going to be on my ass. That's not going to happen, is it? No. But you're doing it because somewhere innately, your parents, and everybody in here gets this, your parents struggled, and especially this team, to get here. A majority of your parents came from another country. A majority of your parents came here with $5 in their pocket. Think about that. And you're deciding, there's way back here, you're deciding, because there's this little troll that lives in your head that says quit all the time. There is. He lives there. He lives in everybody's head. Some guys have beaten that troll back there, so when he comes out, it's easy for you to just go like that on him. But some of you let that troll come out all the time. But on school, because you go home and you look at your parents, or whoever takes care of you, and you're like, fuck, they have absolutely busted their nut to get me where I am. And I'm going to do the school thing because I know it makes them happy, even though I don't like it. And you're going to do that for 12 years. And if I have my way and Coach has his way, for another 4 years in college, and maybe some of you will become doctors. Because you know this is the shit to get my ticket punched. Right? Is that a fair assessment right now? Can you think of what your parents went through, some of you, to get here? Right? And all they want you to do is go double down on the discipline that they had. Whose parents here work 2 jobs, 3 jobs? Right? That's discipline. You think they want to? Why are they doing it? You guys. When you're on the field and you don't feel like covering that outside guy, or you're an outside midfielder and you don't feel like tracking back for that moment in time to get that outside wing because we had to swing over and he's coming back and you're just like, man, I'm tired. Who are you letting down? Everyone, your team, everyone. That's accountability. That's accountability. Accountability is what you owe to the people who you're in the fight with. If you don't think that you're in a foxhole in a machine gun fight on that soccer field, you're in the wrong sport on the wrong team. If you're out there to have a good time and win, that's cool, but you're not all in. There are some guys on this team that absolutely leave their left nut on the field every game. Every single game. Some of you think you do, but when you really dig down and I ask you right now to go, do I have anything else left in my tank at the end of every game? It's a choice. It's a choice. It's a choice on what you owe each other, the same thing that you owe your parents and your parents have given to you. It's that choice. And that comes back to discipline. Yeah? You with me so far? Okay. Responsibility. Who can give me some examples of responsibility that you have as a player? And it has nothing to do with the soccer field. Everything that happens on the field is accountability. Everything that happens off the field is responsibility. Who can give me an example of a fiasco that happened on Sunday morning this past weekend? Anybody but Zavi.
We forgot our uniforms.
We forgot our uniforms. That was a responsibility. When I see you guys come to practice at night and you bring a bottle of water like this, that's the size of a urine sample, and you run out of water after the second drill, that's a lack of responsibility. Because you're not feeding your system. You're like, last minute, I'm going to just grab whatever's in here. Mom, I forgot my water. Can you get it for me? That's your responsibility as a young adult and everybody aspiring to be an elite athlete. Your uniforms, your water, making sure, what's up?
Eating right after.
Eating right and feeding your system. Those are responsibilities. Anything off the field that deters you from being better is a responsibility that you're shirking. Anything on the field, you're telling your teammates, at least for this play. There's some guys who never do that on this team. And you know who you are. Ever. So decide who you want to be. And all that comes down to is a mental strength, which is discipline. And then fighting back that little troll. Last night we watched the sprints, right? And I'm calling you guys out on this, but I'm going to fix you all by the end of this. We were doing the sprints last night. Some of you were 20, 30 seconds late on the last sprint, if I'm right. Right? Did anybody get hurt because of the 20, 30 seconds? Or did you just decide? Did anybody pull up with an injury on that before I go ahead and ask the question? Did anybody get an injury last night? You just decided, fuck it. You didn't want to do it. Seriously. You just decided, I don't give a shit. I'm not going to get in trouble. Everybody's going to look at me, but I don't care. That's discipline. That's accountability. You chose. You were not going to die. You were not even going to throw up. But you decided, fuck it. I am not going to bother trying to make it 10 seconds over. I'm over 10 already. Might as well make it 30. What does that say about you? You don't give a shit. Or you care when it's convenient for you. That's even worse. I'll be your best friend as long as it's convenient for me. I'll be the best teammate I can be for you as long as it's convenient for me. I'll be the best teammate for you as long as it doesn't hurt too much. Who can tell me one or two players on this team who literally almost die every game? Jose?
Ronaldo.
Almost die. Nico? Yeah? Huh. Yeah. Almost die. I'm going to highlight Danny and Jairo especially, because they're covering the most mileage, the most vicious interactions. Do you think they decided that the team is more important than them? What did they say? Fuck it. I'm doing this. Not just one game. Has anybody seen them dog a game ever? Did they make a decision? Are they disciplined? I can never check a box on any of these. Sure, Danny self-admittedly gets a little passionate, so does Jairo. But quickly, they've learned since last year, and those that have been here, last year was a fiasco sometimes when those two guys got fired up, wasn't it? It was an absolute shit fest, right? And everybody joined in. But look, what did they become? Disciplined. They decided, I am not going to be that person anymore. And how about the guys who finished last in the sprints last night? What did you decide? Fuck it. Holden? Fuck it. I was tired. Who finished first, second, or third last night? Well, did he go, right? What did you guys decide? What did you guys decide? Fuck it, I'm going to finish strong. I had a choice. Whose little troll won? Whose little troll lost? That little troll in the back of your head who comes out and just like, you know what, just quit. It's so much easier to quit. So much easier. Who finished first or second last night? How good did that feel after the pain was over 5 seconds later? Fantastic. How did it feel for you guys finishing last 5 seconds later? Fucking nasty. Just decisions. Nobody was going to die last night. Jairo and Danny aren't going to die in the game. They know that. See how simple it is? It really is simple. It's not any more complicated than that. You guys are also loaded. Here's the good news. Here's the good news. You guys have the most skill and the most passion of any team we've faced so far. That team on Sunday, the second you decided in the second half to come out, and you're like, man, I just got reamed by coach, and I deserved it. You guys came out, they didn't know what to do. They had no clue what to do. You decided, so you could have done that from the start of the game. This and this, without this, has very little value. Very little value. So where are we going to spend our time? Being cognizant of what? Because you're totally trained. I know you're not dumb. We're just dropping the ball on certain things. Coach and I discussed something, and I'm going to show you how powerful discipline is, and it's a real simple drill. Starting Friday morning, you're going to wake up 10 minutes before you usually do. Maybe make it 15. And I don't care if your mom says you can't. You're going to put on your running shoes. You're going to put on your shorts, and I don't care if it's raining. And you're going to run 1 mile. Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You're going to run 1 mile. Before you take off, you're going to take a picture of yourself. And you're going to put pound lion strong. And you're going to put it on your Instagram account, and you're going to send it to coach. And I will make you a promise. I swear this will happen. At the end of those 6 sessions, you will clearly understand the difference and the power, a commitment, and a little movement towards discipline when you absolutely do not want to do something, but you consciously beat down that troll, you do it. I will promise you, you will find a newfound superpower you never knew you had before, but it was always there, is making that decision. It's not an option. If at the end of those 6 sessions you're like, Joe, you're batshit crazy, it's not going to happen. Is everybody in on that?
Yeah.
6 a.m. or whatever time, 15 minutes early. Coach's got to get a on the way out and a picture on the way in.
We always talk to you guys about social media. Sometimes we run into things on social media and we're like, listen, take this off. Why are we seeing this? This is something positive, and now we're adding a hashtag to it. So it's going to be a cool event. Lying strong is something that I think we can lean on as a team and reach down and grab when we need it. It's a reference point to remind us who we are. Otherwise, you're not a lion. So you can make that choice. Everyone here is a part of this pride. You know that. You were selected. Right? I'm going to join it. What time do you get up for school?
5.
Make it 5 for the next 2 weeks.
6 days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. 6 sessions, that's it.
Well, if we're going to start with Friday, that would be 7. If we go for 2 weeks.
Friday, Monday, Tuesday.
Unless we skip the last Friday. Which we
Yeah,
can't.
right.
6 sessions starting this Friday. I'm going to do it with you. You'll see my tag earliest on Instagram. Who has me on Instagram? I challenge you to get up before me and do it.
At what time you gonna get up?
Sorry?
At what time you gonna get up?
I'll get up anywhere between, what time do you get up? 5?
Yeah.
I get up anywhere between, fair trap.
No, my son out.
No, I'll do it. I think it's worth it. And to be honest with you, I need it. Because discipline is something that I've learned a long time ago, not in this extent. Through pain and through not making teams. That's how I learned. And luckily I had an older brother who could sort of show me what it meant, but never in these terms, with this much definition. So I'm gonna do it along with you. And I challenge you to get up before me. Because I'll also tell you the trick. The hardest part of working out or being disciplined is putting your shoes on. That's the hardest part. Because Joe and I say, as soon as you take that picture, the one guy who puts his phone away, goes back in the house and goes to bed,
You might as well quit the team.
that's on you. And it's gonna show.
And you're gonna lay in bed and you're gonna hate yourself, I guarantee it. If
You don't
you,
even go back to sleep.
no. But when you finish your 6 sessions, you're gonna see how powerful that is. And that is gonna be a lesson that's gonna lead you to getting your bachelor's degree and your master's degree. And for those of you who have aspiration to being pro soccer players, getting up and doing your road work at 5 a.m. in the morning when the guy who's trying to beat you for that spot on that pro team is not doing it. All my fighters used to say they put the road work on at 5 in the morning and they knew their opponent was not doing it. And they weren't getting better cardio. You know what they were getting?
Discipline.
Mental strength. Mental strength. Biggest gangster on the team, Ronaldo on the field. Biggest bad intention gangster in the field. Right? Bad intention. But that's discipline. It's not wildness, it's discipline, sticking to getting after that ball, almost to a Suarez type approach. Right? I'm not talking about running around crazy, but I'm talking about making a commitment and using everything you got so at the end of it, you can barely walk the last minute. The perfect soccer game played was almost what Danny played this weekend from an energy perspective. The last minute of the game, he was cramping up so bad, he looked like a pirate, he couldn't walk. That means he blew his nut out at the perfect time, and that's what you want. You want a guy to drop as soon as the whistle falls. That's perfect. The guys in the back, they might not have to run like the front guys, but do you know, and Holden can tell you this, when he's really concentrating, it's almost more exhausting to play that back line, checking your marks all the time, checking traffic, who's making the runs, can I cover that line, am I here? Mentally, your defenders rarely are going to be exhausted at the end of the game at the same level of your middies and some of your strikers maybe, but mentally they are spent, and sometimes that's tougher than physically spent. If you're really scanning and covering and caring and figuring and calculating and directing traffic, that's exhausting. I've played that sweeper back for a long, long, long time at a very high level. I know how exhausting that is. Okay? So you need discipline there. You need discipline up front. So that ripple doesn't, shit, I forgot. It goes up the line, makes it across, they switch fields, they come down, bats out of hell, bam, it's in the goal. You know what I look at? If I'm a coach, I look right at the guy who let that ball get out of the box. And then I go down the line, but it started right there. That's where shit starts. That string on the shirt that you pull it and all of a sudden the shit starts falling apart. Okay? Show me, tell me, what can we do immediately on each of our positions right now, I'm going to go around the room that you have not been disciplined enough to pay attention to, but you're going to moving forward. And it could be either in practice or in the game. Gene. One thing that you've not paid enough attention to because you just said, fuck it. Everybody else start thinking now. I put you in on the spot because I went at him first. I want to come back to you. Ev.
My technical ability.
Technical ability? What can you do if you were more disciplined to fix that?
Work on it a lot more.
Work on it a lot more.
Practice.
In practice or at home. Yeah? Coach told me a story I'm going to share with you guys so you'll feel comfortable, and then I'm going to go around the room. You're not getting out of this.
Wait, which story?
The left foot. The left foot.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like a scary movie.
Tell it. Where you were serving it up the birds.
I had to figure out a way to make a name for myself on the field. I went to a very, very strong Division I college program, and I was an All-American high school player, but every year they brought in an international player. International from Jamaica, international from Trinidad, international from Norway, international from England. That was just the kind of school I went to. So as a striker, I started finding myself moving backwards. I went from striker to left mid, from left mid to left back. But I had to find a way to hide the fact that my right foot was just god awful. It was just, I'd never had the discipline enough to work on it. Until the one day where my coach was like, listen, I need a guy who could use both feet, so I'm gonna have to sit you out this game. And I said, well how long? He said, well, until you do something about it. Right hand to God. I woke up every morning, I went into our equipment room, took the balls, a whole lot of them, 10 of them, and I went out on the field and I was driving down the right side of the field, not like running with the ball, driving down the field, looking up, and at the time that I was working, 5, 6 in the morning, there was just, you know how it is in the morning, there's birds on the field, right? It's dew on the grass, and I'm literally looking at the birds like they were my strikers. And I'm serving like I'm literally trying to hit them and peg them, and it almost became fun they were a part of it. They were like, and then come back down on the grass after I go get another ball and come down, like we were having fun. It sounds crazy, right hand to God, it happened. And I swear, every time I would drive down that field, left or right side, I would look up and I would just know where to serve the ball. And I became one of the best passers on the field within 2-3 weeks. Did people think I was crazy? Probably looking out from the dean's office like, who's this kid on the soccer field kicking balls at birds? I didn't give a shit. I wanted to play. Excuse my language. And when the coach told me, you can come back when you fix it, that was on me. That was my responsibility, and I held myself accountable because I knew my dad was driving 3 hours to come see me play. I knew I was given a scholarship that I didn't want to lose. And the soccer team was really good. I wanted to be a part of it. Like, I was like a die-hard soccer guy, and everyone else on the team had a name. I was the one American starter on the team. Everyone else was international. You could look at, I could show you right now. So to me, I wanted to pave the way for the other kids who were coming in. A kid from Connecticut who's playing at Rhode Island with all these internationals. That was my choice. And I've never really told anyone that story until it got brought up with Joe and I said, well, I have a funny story. And I don't share it because I think to myself, like, who's gonna wanna hear that? Who's gonna wanna believe that? But now I've run into 18 players that I would love to share that story with. Now, are you gonna do the same thing? Maybe not. Or maybe you do. But the point is, I made a decision. And I'm thankful for it. So that troll has now become an ally in my life. He doesn't work against me, he works with me. And Joe. He sits right there at the table with us. And as soon as he gets out of line, like he says, you can do the same thing. And I think you will after these 2 weeks. Because it's not just us telling you. This is what I figured out over my time being here. And I'm so glad I met Joe and you guys for this. And I'd never admit this to anyone else. You may want to edit this on the camera. The same way I'm teaching you, I'm learning. in a whole nother light. But the same way I try to teach you something without any way of fixing it is not proper knowledge. That's just me harping on you with no example on how to fix it. You now have an example on how to fix it. 2 weeks, 6 sessions, wake up in the morning, run that mile. You gotta get up at 5:30, make it 5 o'clock. What are you gonna have to sacrifice?
Sweet.
Go to bed early, right?
Go to bed 15 minutes early. Coach has given you a toolbox by allowing me to share this with you. And this is not a one-off. This is not like doing 10 push-ups.
Right.
And then we're done with this shit. This is the intro class. We may have 10 minutes after practice, 10 minutes before practice, but we're going to, I'm going to make, I promise you boys, so again, why, people ask, why do I do this? Why do I put all this money and all this time into you boys? And it's because I love soccer, and I hope that if some of you have these crazy aspirations of being pro soccer players, but I'm going to guarantee you that because you met me and Coach at this point in your life, you could have went this path, or you could have went this path, and this is the path that we're giving you with the tools, the insight, the aha moments, and the shit that has taken me out of the gutter and taken me out of the darkest places you can ever imagine, and has allowed me to have every single thing I've ever wanted. And it's not just stuff. It's happiness. It's peace. It's love. It's a family. It's tons of money that I can share with other people to make their lives better. You, because of these 3 or 4 years we're together, I promise you, you will remember him and you will remember me as arguably one of the most amazing relationships you had, because you're going to go here and you were here, and this is not a bad path that you were on. I'm just going to give you superhero powers that are going to allow you to process every single thing that looks like a problem and a challenge in front of you, as you're just going to squish it. And if it's a soccer ball, great. If it's a law degree, great. If it's you owning a huge body shop, great. If it's marrying the person of your dreams, great. But you're going to learn these tools. And I'll see them declare themselves on the soccer field. That's how I'll know that the lessons are getting through. Okay? You want to add anything on this, Coach?
Who's up for the Lion Strong? Who's up for that? I think it's going to be mad fun. And no other team in South Florida has done this, and I think it can go viral. So let's have fun with it. Yeah?
Yeah. And what you're now learning to do, all of you, is learning to surf on the edge of uncomfortable. That is where growth occurs. Sitting back here where mom and dad wipe our asses does not provide for growth. Getting on the edge of uncomfortable and staying there every minute of every day is where you become an all-star in your schoolwork, in your relationship with your friends and your family. Get on the edge of being a better friend. Get on the edge of remembering that water. Get on the edge of running every single sprint harder than you imagined you could. And that envelope keeps on getting pushed till one day you turn around and you're all the way over here. If not but for. Okay? So, what do you do? Rodrigo, I still do it like Portuguese. What discipline are you going to exhibit on the field or in practice that you've thought about?
Covering the line.
Covering the line. Gene?
Playing balls in the air from my side, like, I struggle with that. Like,
What are you going to do?
practice practice that?
One,
Defending and the sprints.
and the sprints.
Defending in the games and sprints during practice.
Because you just sort of weren't into it, right? Pat,
Pressuring the defense.
pressure in the defense in the games.
Find my midfielders quicker.
Find them quicker. Because sometimes does your mind wander, or you don't stay engaged, or you don't get it quick enough.
Explosion and diving horizontally and vertically.
Right, because sometimes do you actually feel like, fuck it, I'm only jump 80%?
Sometimes
Why?
I lose up here mentally.
Okay. Trey,
I gotta take more shots.
why don't you shoot now?
Probably because my confidence is probably low.
So by not shooting, does it get higher?
No,
Right?
not at all.
Not at all. Does coach want you to shoot?
Yeah.
Does your team want you to shoot?
Yes.
All right? Will you be happier when you shoot?
Yeah.
It's an easy one.
Defending and working on my left foot.
Who else needs to work on their weak foot here? Ding, 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 right? Why don't you? Because I'm not good at it. And you remember the first time you touched a soccer ball? You sucked with your strong foot too. But look how that came along. And it's attached to the same body. Only you know the game 50 times better right now. Could you imagine if you guys all went out for 3 weeks? Just stay with me here a second. Picture this. We're early in the season. If every single one of you knuckleheads went out for 2 or 3 weeks and just took 4 or 5 balls and just served up balls for 15, 20 minutes over 3 weeks, and everybody on the team did that, how much more badass would this team be?
100%.
Substantially better. Are you going to get worse at kicking the ball or better?
Better.
And because you just haven't done it. You know you can do it. You did it already. That's just an interesting concept. Think about that for a second. Why haven't I done it? Hyro, what are you going to work on?
Left foot.
Left foot. And shooting more with your left foot. Right? And you don't shoot now because
It's not as good.
it's not as good, right? So then you have to push it back to the right. And how do we play defense if we know we're playing a guy who's a righty? What do? Force him to his left side. So think about that. Think about how simple that solution is. You're all great soccer players. Imagine for 3 weeks if you just said, fuck it, I'm going to take a ball 15 minutes, I'm going to go bang it. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go bang it. So I absolutely look like a retard because it's spinning off, but that's where you have to start. So, our pillars. Our pillars are passion, discipline, self-awareness, skills, motivation, and hustle. Somebody give me an example of self-awareness.
It's like just knowing what's around you.
What's around you and what you're capable of and what you should do. Zavi, is Zavi self-aware when he tries to take 7 touches around a 6'8" guy?
No.
That's not self-awareness. Is Ronaldo turning without looking behind him and getting slammed 5 times this weekend in that game? Is that self-awareness? Or is just that sheer, straight-out, carnivorous, in-your-face, mad dog passion? Yeah? I didn't see you scanning. You just wanted to go. Right? So self-awareness is, okay, where am I? And what does, everybody hang on to this word now, scenario dictate? What does the scenario dictate? When is it smart to make a foul?
Oh wait.
When you made a mistake and you gotta recover quickly.
In the box?
No.
No, why not?
Because that can.
Scenario dictates. Should I be dribbling the ball if I'm the last guy in the back trying to take on 2 people? But if I'm a striker and it's Trey at the top of the box? Because it all depends. The answer in soccer is, it depends. There's never the perfect answer. Scenario dictates. That is driven by self-awareness. What am I good at? What am I not so good at? What's on the line right now? What's the consequence? And what should I be doing right now? When you become brilliant, and Coach will tell you this because he was a pro, is you're asking that question every 3 seconds in the game, not just when you get the ball. Okay, shit, right now, what do I got to do? Okay, shit, right now, what do I got to do? What do I got to do right now? I'm running 5 yards over here. Where's the ball? What's going? This way, as soon as you have to make a decision, you don't have to evaluate it, or you just don't go, fuck it, I'm going to just do this because it's all I got.
Look at Joe's body language when he's just asking questions, and we're not even on a grass field right now. He's asking, what do I do? What's his head doing?
Moving along.
So when I say to you, scan, it's recreational. Because if you're asking the question to yourself, your head's already in motion. No one's got to tell you. I get to save these. You guys get that now? Because that's the most powerful stuff. We went over this over the last few days, and hands down, powerful soccer stuff. This is probably the best session we've had since I joined this team, and we're not even on the field. If you can take this information and apply it, which, in all honesty, I'm going to be looking for results tomorrow. That's the business I'm in. Outcomes. I'm learning that too. But we have to translate this information into play on the field. Everyone gets that?
And just as importantly for me, play in life.
Absolutely.
All the lessons Coach is conveying to you, and I'm trying to help you with, are going to be huge leveraged lessons in life. And it's going to make you a better player, a better friend, a better husband, wife, sig other, businessman, doctor, lawyer. Any questions? Did any of it make sense?
Yeah.
You good, Coach?
I'm ready to play.
Let's go. Thanks, boys. Appreciate your time on this.
Awesome. Any questions from you guys? Anything for Joe or myself? That's why we got you here.
And if you guys ever have questions for me and you want to pull me on the side, I am always there. You know that by now, right? I am always there. Anything at all. You're like, Joe, what were you talking about this? What are you talking about that? I'm more than happy.
Lion strong.
Lion strong.
What's tomorrow? Yeah, I'm still tomorrow, bitch.
So I want to start Lion Strong tomorrow. That's how I come.
Thanks.
I'm out.